Good morning, folks. I'm back out at Dad's shop today, and I got a couple of Akron lanterns burning here. This one is, I believe this is a Akron WM5 model, and this one is a Sears made Akron lantern. So I don't know what the model number is, but it's Akron lantern made for Sears. The tip's plugged up on it. It was burning brighter at first, and then it got a chunk of debris in the tip, and there's no tip cleaner on these Akron lanterns. So it's just gonna have to burn like that for right now, but I'll see if I can get the camera over here and you can see where it says Sears Roebuck and Company on the fuel cap. I do have a video on getting this one going, so I'll post a link to that down in the description. But these two, I'm just going to move back here for now. Because I have got another Akron lantern to work on. I bought this one last fall when I was at the Cornstalk Lantern Festival with some other, I bought it with, I think I got 2 other lanterns with this one. Bought it as a group, but it needs some work, that's for sure. I looked up on the Terry Marsh website what model this was, but I can't remember what I found out, so I'll have to look it up again and I'll add that into the video. But it definitely is an Akron, but it's definitely is different than my other two. It's got a straight generator in there that is very similar to the generator on my Gloria light plant. So it's got tiny little threads down at the bottom of that generator that thread in down there. It's also got some sort of a, I don't know what this extra adjustment knob does. We're gonna have to tear the whole thing down. I don't know what that's supposed to do or how it's supposed to work, but there is a knob that comes out there. I don't know if that is some kind of a tip cleaner mechanism, and it's got something that goes all the way up through that funky looking generator. This is similar to other Akron lanterns that I have, that there's a little, this one's pretty thin flat, but there is a jam nut that tightens down and holds that in place. It's already loose because probably somebody's already been in here before and couldn't figure out what's going on with this, but we should be able to pop that back. Yeah, let's get a wrench. Oh, I don't even need a wrench. Let's loosen that up a little bit more.
Just a finger nut?
Well, it's a hex nut, but
it
it's
is. I see that.
really, really thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to just pop this straight up off of there. There we go. Get your whole burner assembly out of there. Just a basic burner assembly. I can tell you right now, there's been animals in there. I can see some debris up in there. If those caps don't want to come off easily, I'm not going to worry about that. I can blow air in through there while I cover up those 2 holes to force whatever's in there back out of there. But it does look like something was living in there. Yeah, it's just a very thin nut on there, which is odd. Let's see if we can get that generator to come out of there. See if we can gently break that. Wow. That is, I don't know if that's, there is flats on there, but they're already in awfully poor shape. Maybe that's why nothing wanted to fit it. Alright, I'm going to try with a pair of channel locks, but I'm not going to try too hard. If it doesn't want to move, we're going to Yeah, I don't want to take the chance of
might twist
breaking that off when I don't have a replacement part for it. So we're gonna get a little bit of heat put on there to try to get that to come apart. There you go, 75th tries the charm. Get a little bit of heat on here and try to limber this up a little bit. I definitely do not have a generator that's even close enough to try to make work on this, so I really don't want to bust this one off. Boy, that is tight. Okay, we were getting phone calls and I had to stop to deal with that, but I sprayed some penetrating oil on here. It's a good old PV blaster. Let that soak for a minute. I'm heating it back up now. I'm going to give it another spray, let that soak in, and then see if it'll break loose. But this one definitely is in there good. It doesn't want to pop loose easily. Boy, that is not wanting to move at all. Okay, well there's a second jam nut down underneath of here. Right down in there. I'm going to see if I can break that loose. And then I can get this cage out of the way at least and have a little bit more room to work here. But that is awfully tight. Oh, well that's not what I wanted. That's turning everything. I think that's turning everything clear down to the fount, the valve, everything. So I guess we can get all of that off in one piece. Been some animals living in there too, so I'm not surprised there was something up in the air tube. And that is different. Oh, and that all. Well, what the heck? Get the camera down here even a little bit closer. I have never seen anything like that. This stem moves independently of this piece. Duh!
Whoa! Right down to your shoe.
That's interesting. So it looks like this fits down on there and it all tightens down, and then that's kind of like a compression fitting looking.
What's the bottom of that stem look like?
The bottom of it like
No,
there.
I mean not that's on the cage, yeah.
Yeah.
Ball fit in there.
Yep. Alright, let me see if I can. This is not going to come apart that way. Alright, let me pause the camera, see if I can make any progress here and figure out what I need to do next. Alright, so I went ahead, I was talking about loosening up that bottom jam nut. I went ahead and did that. Once you do that, it'll slide over and come right out of the cage, so at least I can get that much out of the way for now. And I can go ahead and get this out of the way. So here is the valve body. I still don't know exactly what this little lever does. It doesn't seem to be stuck though, it's moving a little bit anyhow. But I really still would like to get this generator out of here. I guess now that it's right out in the open, you can definitely see better what we're working with here. But wow, that looks like somebody's been in here before. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick it up, but that thing is very much already smashed in on the sides there. So somebody's already been trying to get this apart before and not been able to get it apart apparently. Because I know that I didn't squeeze hard enough on these channel locks to bend that in. I was being very careful with it. Well, this might take some more aggressive heating. I think I'm going to take this over, wrap this part in a towel, clamp it as gently in the vise as I can, then heat this up really good with our larger torch and see if I can get that to break loose, and then we'll come back to the camera. Okay, after a little bit more aggressive heating, now everything's too hot to touch, but it finally let go and broke loose. We're going to thread that out of there and see just exactly what we got here.
I got the log hook to it. Huh.
I think maybe it does. I think it might have some sort of a tip cleaner mechanism. I don't know, everything's too hot to touch right now. Because it does not seem to be just... Oop, there we go. They're definitely... I'll set this down where it's not going to melt my rubber mat.
It's got something with teeth on it there, doesn't it? Has it got a gear in there?
Yeah, my guess is that this goes down in there. This is a tip cleaner rod, and I'm guessing when you turn this knob on the side here, there is some little gear teeth in there that push that up and down. Okay, this is all still too hot to touch, but I'm gonna thread this out of here. My guess is that this turns a little gear with teeth on it that drives this tip cleaner up and down. That's stuck and doesn't want to move either, so I'm not going to force that yet, but I'm going to get this part apart if I can and see what's in there. That broke loose easy enough. It's already everything hot though, so that helps out. Well, that doesn't want to just pop right out of there, that's for sure. Looks like the stem goes through a packing in there, which would make sense, but I don't want to break that packing trying to get it out of there. Well, when I look down there, I can see a little gear in there turning, so that's exactly what it does. There's a little gear in there that turns, and I'll bet, yeah, once you get that in there, I can feel it push and pull on the end of that a little bit. So that's what runs your tip cleaner. So maybe I'll just thread that back together. I don't want to break that
Yeah.
packing out of there because I don't have parts for this. So I will just put that back together. This is finally getting almost cool enough to touch everything on it. Snug that back down. My oldest boy Hank brought my youngest boy Willis out here, so now Leo's got someone to play ball with him at least. Hank, one of his co-workers, called and asked him if he could come in and cover the rest of their shift for him, so he's going into work. Clean this up just a little bit. Well, air passes through that just fine. So I think that'll be okay. We can work with that anyhow. Now, let's see if I can get that to come loose. Boy, that's a weird generator. That is very odd. I don't know. It kind of looks like maybe that tip might unscrew off of there, but I'm not sure. And this isn't going to make a very exciting video if I just break it now and the video just comes to an end because I can't finish it. Well, it moves a little bit, but not very darn much. I definitely feel like it needs to move more than that. Just trying to gently wiggle that and see if I can make any progress with it. Just get it to turn a little bit, and then each time maybe turn a little bit farther. But I sure don't like the fact that I got no spare parts for this and no good place to get any extra parts for it if I screw something up. Let's see if that tip cleaner, or that tip threads off there. That doesn't want to turn either.
Looks like it should.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's two pieces, but I don't know if it was pressed together 100 years ago or... Boy, I don't know. It's moving a little bit. That gap right in there is a little more than it was, but I can see why somebody else started working on this and put it back together and sold it, because nothing wants to move easily on it.
Looks like it's giving a little bit.
It's moving a little bit, but boy, I don't know if I'm just destroying something or what.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never seen one like that.
There we go. It is coming out of there now. The tip cleaner is still on there. I know the camera won't pick it up, but it's still there, but it's bent over to one side. Boy. There is a spring in there. I don't know if I can get a hold of that and get it to come out or not, but boy, that is. You can see that there's a spring in there, but it doesn't seem to want to come out easily. But I can't see any light through that. Can't blow any air through it. I did get an old busted up tip cleaner from a Coleman to pass through the hole in the tip of that. And it does let it pass air through that generator now. But I can't see through it. I don't know what kind of packing is in there. And I don't know if I'll be able to get this weird tip cleaner back in there and ever get it to actually line up and do anything. The wire on the end of it's bent to the shape of a question mark. I don't know. Don't know if that's ever going to function correctly or not. It definitely is not in great shape. Sure the camera won't show it, but I got it straightened out as best I can. Try to spray some carb cleaner through there. I don't know if that actually went through or just was running down the sides of it. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I don't know if anything's actually going through there, if I'm just spraying around it. Well, when you got no spare parts and can't get stuff to come apart anymore and don't want to break it. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just put it back together and see if it'll work. I'm going to go wash my hands, get all the carburetor cleaner off of them, and we'll try to put this back together. I haven't even looked inside the fountain yet. I don't even know what that looks like.
Oh, I'm about to find out.
Doesn't look terrible. Smells a little bit like rotten gas, but I've certainly seen worse. So I'm going to go wash the carb cleaner off my hands. We'll try putting this back together and see if maybe the pump and stuff's going to work, and if we can get the pump to work and the fountain doesn't leak, then maybe we'll just put it all back together and see if we can make it work. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to see if I can get this tip cleaner back up through there. I don't really think there's a packing other than just the spring that goes up the middle of it. But we'll see. That'll go all the way back through there. Well, I cannot see if that tip cleaner is coming through there at all or not. But I can tell you that I can blow air through there when that tip cleaner's pulled down a little bit, and I can't when you push it up all the way. So that leads me to believe that maybe this generator is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Just possibly. Now let's take a look at this fount. Yeah, that leather's, I mean, I've seen better, but I've also seen worse. It might work well enough to pump it up anyhow. See if this cap says Akron or if it says Sears like my other one. It says Montgomery Ward, I think. Yep, Montgomery Ward.
I never knew they had Akron liners.
Looks like the seal inside the cap is not horrible. Air will pass into the fountain when I blow in there with my mouth. So chances of that check valve coming out of there easily are probably slim to none. Especially the way everything else is coming apart on this lantern. I'm just going to hit this with this fine Scotch-Brite just a little bit. I'm not polishing it up at all. I'm knocking all the loose, crusty stuff off of there before I get the blowgun and try to blow this off and see if I can blow. It sounds like there's a little bit of debris in the fount, but at this point, the way everything else is on this lantern, I'm not going to get real carried away. I'm going to see if I can make it work, and then if it works and the fount holds pressure, doesn't form any stress cracks when we pressurize it, all that stuff, if all that goes well, then maybe in the future I'll do another video and tear it back down again and actually clean everything up a little better. But for right now, I just want to see if this thing's even worth putting any more effort into. now I got carb cleaner all over my hand again, so I'll have to go wash my hands after I wipe this off. Get some Marvel Mist oil on that poor old leather.
I want to try a test drive a Florida too. I want to get a test.
Okay, let's see if this poor old leather, it's kind of gummy and soft. Let's see if it'll go back in there and do its thing and pump any pressure in here. I'm just gonna hold my fingers over the holes. Dad's cleaning up that cage and it looks to me like somebody spray painted it at some point, didn't they?
It's got a,
Yeah, it's got a match light hole.
yeah, it looks like it's been painted silver.
Yeah, somebody spray painted it silver, but that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it right now. The heat will burn off the paint that doesn't belong there. Alright, let's see if this pumps any pressure. Definitely does. Let's see if the check valve's holding. I should have checked that first. Check valve seems to be holding.
Good.
Don't hear anything hissing back out of it. Pressure comes up through the top there. Things are looking up a little bit. Let's put it back together, see if it'll function, and then like I said, I'll run it a few times. If it works good and then ends up plugging up this generator, I might look for another generator. I know there's other collectors out there that have parts. I might look around, see if I can find another generator, and then we could take it back apart sometime and do a little more cleaning on it. But honestly, I don't like to clean my stuff up too terribly much, so let's just see what we can do putting it all back together here. This collar has been spray painted too, and I don't know if that, I doubt that that was original. I'll bet somebody spray painted this thing at some point in the last 100 years. Dad was just asking me how old I thought this was, and my guess is the 1920s, but when I look up again to see what model number I suspected this to be, the Terry Marsh website will give me a range of approximately what years these were manufactured. Well, let's make sure we don't leave any of the parts out. So we got this pickup tube with the weird compression kind of fitting thing there. It passes air through it just fine. And we'll drop that back down in there. Now, on these old lanterns, people debate about how the lantern's supposed to be clocked or whatever to have the valve facing forward, this and that. I don't get too terribly worried about that. I go until it's tight enough that I feel like it's not going to leak, and that's where I quit. Try to get it around to where it's I'm not going to go any farther than that.
No.
I don't want to break something, but that's a little better. At least the pump and the knob aren't completely lined right up with each other. I can see, camera might even pick that up. A big chunk of debris right in the fill neck there. I'm going to get a pair of needle nose pliers and see if I can pull that out of there. That doesn't need to go back down into the tank. Yep, it just did though. Just did, so that's going to stay there for right now.
It's too big to get plugged it up anyway, so.
Yeah, if it was too big to come out through that hole, then it's certainly not going to go up the pickup tube, so. Alright, let's put the cap back on here. Pump this up again and see if air passes through the valve assembly here. Well, I don't see any stress cracks. I don't hear any air hissing from anywhere on there. Let's crack the valve open and see what we hear. Definitely passing air through all of that. So that's a good sign. This lantern's already making me feel like this is probably going to be worth doing a little more work to in the future. Once I know for sure that I could find another one of these generators if I screw this one up. But like I said before, I was blowing air back through there and moving that tip cleaner up and down, and I could blow air with it down and then not when it came back up. So we may be okay. We may just luck out and all this stuff just happens to go back together and work well enough to use this thing.
I just never seen a setup like that.
Well, this generator definitely is shaped just like the one on the Gloria light, and I'm pretty sure on one of the, I'm a Facebook group member for the hollow wire lighting, and somebody had said that you could use a generator from some kind of lantern, and I'll bet they had said it was from an Akron lantern, because this sure looks the same to me. Now I am not going to tighten that down the way that it was before. I'm going to use these tiny little ignition pliers and snug it down to where it's good and snug, and that's where it's going to stay. I don't know if that tip cleaner thing's actually doing anything, but let's crack the valve open and see here. I don't hear any air passing. Yeah, I don't hear any air passing through that generator. But boy, it seems like it's doing something. It only wants to turn a part of a turn. I don't think I lost all my pressure out of the fountain, did I? No, there was still a little pressure in there. I mean, I guess for testing it, if I couldn't do anything more, I could just take that tip cleaner out of there and it'll run as long as the tip stays clear, and then once the tip plugs up. But I don't know what my chances are of finding another one of these generators with the tip cleaner and everything in it. Okay, I took this back apart again, took that tip cleaner out, messed around with it, put it back together, and now I'll see if the camera microphone can hear it. But I don't know if the camera can hear it, but I can feel it. I really can't even hear anything, but if I put it right up to my ear, I can hear it passing air when I turn that tip cleaner. So that's good enough that I'm going to give it a try. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, I'm going to put a little bit of splash fuel in here, and we're going to see if I get some fuel coming out that tip after I pressurize it. If I do, then I will put this all back together and see if this old thing's going to burn or not. that good and tight. That seal in there looked pretty decent, and it seems like it's holding pressure, so. All right, let's see if there's any, if we see any fuel come spurting up out of there when I crank that. Oh, well, there's fuel spurting out right around that. That's for damn sure. So hopefully we can tighten that up a little bit and get that to quit leaking, because that will be a problem for sure. We can't burn it like that.
It'll burn.
It'll burn, that's for sure, yeah. Ooh. That might be, oh, there I feel like there's a little bit of resistance now. Not enough. It's gushing out around there. Oh. There, it's starting to feel like there's a little bit of, boy, nothing though. It's just spraying out of there. Well, that is going to be a problem. Boy, that is. Boy, now I feel like a tight packing is tightened down, like it should be doing something, but it's just dumping fuel out of there. I don't know how far I can keep tightening this.
Before it breaks or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just, it's like there's nothing there. Like there's no,
Did that come apart?
yeah, I had it apart earlier.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I looked at the gear on it.
Mm-hmm. Boy, it just slobbers fuel out of there.
I think we should turn it anymore.
You don't think so, Willis?
No.
No.
Is it out of air or? Oh, man.
Well, that is not good, that's for sure. And it looks to me like that's cross-threaded in there. Yeah, I threaded that in there straight, and as you snug it up, it's pulling down. So I think the threads are pulling out of there, which is not a good deal at all. That might be the nail in the coffin on this poor old thing. Okay, well, this valve assembly, when I try to tighten this up, it's pulling the threads out of there. So there's not going to be any good way to fix this short of replacing the whole valve assembly. We don't have this model of an Akron for a parts lantern, but what we do have is this poor old mess of an Akron lantern. It is pretty rough. The fount's got about 100 stress cracks in it. It's not the same model as that. But I don't know if it is close enough that we could take the whole valve assembly. Pretty sure, yeah, we've had this one apart before. Pretty sure we might be able to take the whole valve assembly out of this one, swap it to that lantern, put the parts off of that one that don't work back on this one, and still just save it for a parts lantern. Boy, everything's loose on it. We've had it all pulled apart before. Somebody had this whole thing slathered with green paint. Ooh, I don't even know if that will even work in there. It's a different style pickup tube. But if we could put the two of these together and make one Akron lantern that would work and another one for parts, then I can keep my eyes out, and maybe someday I'll find another one of this model Akron that has junk fount, and I can put this one back to being correct. But let's see, I don't even know if I can use this pickup and tube and all that stuff going down into this fount. Well, that all popped out of there in one piece that time. That came apart the last time when I threaded. Oh, I see. The last time I threaded it out of there, the threads stayed in here and came out right there. This time they all came out in one piece. And that thread's back on that junk fount. So this whole mechanism, we might be able to put this together. We're gonna have to use this collar because it's a shorter collar on that.
I'll clean the green off of that.
Okay, I'm not even that worried about that, but all right. Let's see. If this valve mechanism will pass any air. Sure does. And that poor old generator's got green paint on it. We'll see if we can get a little bit of that sprayed off of there. But yeah, like I was saying, we may be able to put these two lanterns together, make one
Go back.
Akron lantern that will work for now, and then I will watch for parts that are correct for this lantern so that I can put it back to original in the future. Alright, let's give this a few pumps here. See if anything passes through here. And it definitely does. Fuel will pass through that valve body and doesn't leak out around the stem. So we may be able to take that old junk Akron, save the parts from it, throw it on this one, and make an Akron lantern that will work, at least for now. So I'll put this collar, oh yeah, back on this lantern to save
No.
There we go. Put this collar back on this lantern. Save all the parts for the future. We may, like I said, we may be able to find a Akron of this model that's got a bad fount but has a good valve assembly, and we may be able to make this back original in the future. For right now, I'm not getting carried away. We're going finger tight with stuff just so that all the parts will set back together and can go back up on the shelf out in the side building where we keep all of our parts inventory lanterns. There we go. That'll hold that good enough to keep it from falling apart sitting on the shelf. Oh, that's interesting too. I'm gonna have to use the burner out of the parts lantern too, because the top of this generator is a different size, so the hole that the top of the generator goes in is much larger on that one than it is on this one. Okay, I think I got this burner. There's 75 layers of paint on it. It was a frickin' disaster. I think I got it cleaned up enough that I might be able to make it work. I can stick the parts that I can't reuse back in this poor old Akron lantern, put it back out in the side building. I will watch for a correct model to put this back to correct in the future. The good thing is, if you got an Akron with a good fount, you can usually find one with a junk fount to use for parts. So I'm just putting all the parts that I can't use right now loosely back together on this frame to go back out in the side building. And we're going to try to put all the parts that we can use right now back together on this fount. Okay, everything on this is just slathered with multiple coats of different colored paint. You can see on the stem here a little bit of red. There was red paint, then there was green paint over top of the red paint, then there was black paint over top of the green paint on all this stuff. I've cleaned it up good enough to hopefully make it function here.
They know my tricks, but
And maybe, just maybe, we'll have a functioning Akron lantern made from 2 different lanterns that I can use until eventually at some point I will find a lantern the same model as this one that's got a bad fount that I can rescue all the other parts from. But I got most of the, you can see there some of the red and green paint. I've spent as much time on it as I'm going to. It'll burn the rest of that off once the lantern's burning, if it even works. I'm going to put my fuel cap on now. Check one more time to make sure we get fuel coming out that Akron S-type generator. And if we do, we will get this thing reassembled and see if it's going to burn or not. I certainly hope so after all this crap. Oh yeah.
dang it.
Got
She was getting
all kinds of stuff, but it was kind of
That was,
spurting out the side right there too.
I seen that.
Straight towards Dad and these burning lanterns.
That would be good.
Maybe I can tighten that a little bit more. If not,
No one would have ever known. Go back, go back.
That's better.
yeah, it's not spraying out the side anymore at least. We'll give it a try and see what it does.
You are lucky. Blackbird.
All right. Dad cleaned some of the excess paint off of this collar. We can slide that back in there.
That was green and red.
Like I said, we had to use that shorter collar because this whole valve assembly that I'm using now is a shorter valve assembly, but I think it still will work with this cage, which I hope so, because this lantern's a big hat, so I need this big hat cage to put it together.
I need this person to come in here.
Here we go. Well, that clips right in there. So we're making a Akron hybrid lantern here, maybe. I wonder if I could come at that from the other direction. So, well, if I do that, now I have to put it this way. If I come at it from the other direction, I'll show you here in just a second. I was wanting my match light hole. This has a match light hole that you can open up at the bottom. I was wanting that to be farther away from that valve stem there, but if I put that way, then it's going to be the wrong direction for my valve assembly to go in here. No, it won't. Let's see here. What do we got going on here? Come on. There we go. I'll get everything to settle down into its hole there. Now the burner assembly will go right down in there. I'm gonna have to thread the generator back out. When I threaded this all together, I forgot to put my little jam nut back on there.
You probably pay more attention. I know I'm big, but I can't be that big.
Well, this. Okay. Now let's see if this burner out of that other lantern will slide right in here where it needs to. Yeah, it's sitting right where it needs to and everything's lining right up. Now this might actually come together and function as a lantern. Everything looks halfway kind of straight. Let's see if we got the right distance. Yep, got plenty of stem out the top for the nut to go on. I do not have a mica for this, so I figured since it's got this little match light door, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just put a made in China Coleman globe on there for now. And if I decide in the future that this lantern is worth it, I might get a new mica for it. But for now, it will definitely work with a glass in it. Having that little match light hole in the bottom makes it so that you can definitely get away with using a glass in here. Let's see if that's close to the right height. It'll work. It goes in there. There's still enough threads out the top to get the nut caught on. This glass obviously is a little bit taller than what is supposed to be in here, but it still leaves enough that I can get the ball nut threaded on the top. So it will function for now. Need to... Which one of the lanterns we had? One of the old kerosene lanterns, it was called a good enough lantern. That's gonna have to be the motto of this one. Like, good enough to try to make it work for now.
Yep, we did have one.
I don't remember exactly which one that was, but all right, I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to get some mantles tied on here, then we'll turn the camera back on. We'll burn those mantles in, put this thing together, and see if this poor old mess of a
good enough
this poor old mess of an Akron slash Montgomery Wards is going to fire up and burn or not. Okay, we got the mantles tied on there. I never found my nail clippers that I lost a month ago, so I have to use scissors to cut these strings off of here. That seems weird. Throw those on the floor. Dad can sweep them up next time he sweeps the floor.
Oh,
Well, let's see if these manholes get them burned in. I'm going to pump a little more pressure in here because I've screwed around with it a lot since I pumped it up. Feels like it's still got some decent pressure though, so get it pumped up good. We'll burn those manholes in and we'll see if this poor old Frankenstein Akron lantern, pieced together from a couple of junk lanterns, is going to spring back to life for us.
You better hurry up, we're about to lose your...
Yeah, I know. My two lanterns in the back are both running out of juice. Or running out of pressure anyway. Yeah, this fan's blowing over here too. Burn these manholes in and let's see if this thing's gonna come to life for us. Well, I hear the thing hissing. There was some fuel in the generator and it's hissing and trying to squirt a little fuel in there now. Well, that match light hole, why is that so loose? I snugged it up. That match light hole is not going to be the most convenient spot there, but it also won't be terrible. It's just going to be hard to get over underneath the S-shaped part of that generator.
I think this is good for the fight then.
It won't turn very far though, that's for sure. That's not going to be helpful. So it's going to be difficult to reach over underneath there for lighting this up. For right now, I'll just put the glass down in there and I'll leave the glass up just enough that I can reach in with the lighter and get the lighter right in underneath that S-shaped generator. Let's see if we can get this thing to light up before my camera battery dies here. Just hold the flame of the lighter right underneath that S-shaped generator, let it heat up, preheat for a few seconds, and then we'll crack it open to see what happens.
Bingo!
That's a little hot.
That kind of lantern does that.
Well, that
Keep coming.
oh, we're leaking fuel like crazy out the packing over here all of a sudden.
Yeah, good match now.
Let's try to snug that up before we set everything on fire here.
Yeah, perfect. Asking for attack damage. And then additional flexion. I think that's and put these two things here. And that one. Put that up.
Still leaking fuel.
And then there's one thing I should put in here. Ooh, zombie food is good.
Try to tighten it now without opening it.
Nope.
Sweet, don't make it.
It is just spraying fuel out around that packing. So I guess I have to admit defeat. We don't have any other parts lanterns. I don't have a packing to replace that with. So I will be looking for a correct model of this Akron lantern with a bad fount that I can get parts off of to finish rebuilding this. That is going to be coming up in a future video, so I guess I won't be getting a shot of this at home in the dark tonight. I will take a shot back over my shoulder.
They're getting tired.
Both of them, yeah, that one's really getting low on pressure. And that one is the one that got a chunk in the tip cleaner right when I first lit it. So it is still doing okay. But yeah, we're just gonna have to call it quits on this one for today. I will start watching for another parts lantern with a bad fount that I can steal all the rest of the parts I need off of, and we will revisit this lantern in the future. Thanks for watching, folks. Can't win every time, I guess. Please hit the like and subscribe button. If there's anybody that you think would enjoy this video, then share the video with them. Send them a link to the video. Give the video a like. If you've not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And come on back next week. We'll have a video of something here for you to watch.